Well, what's up out there? It's Dave Duford here at Final Expense Agent Mentor at feagentmentor.com. Hope you are all having a fantastic Friday and having, hopefully, a good weekend and a profitable week selling Final Expense or whatever you sell. So today we're doing my normal Friday No BS Final Expense training session. Every Friday, in case this is the first time you're joining, welcome. Every Friday I do a call at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Facebook Live, where I live stream a live call to answer basic questions that I was asked over the week relating to final expense. And so basically the way it goes is I just go over the questions I'm presented, give you my answer, and if you have questions, I always welcome you to include them in the comments box below. Tell me what's on your mind, what questions you have about anything final expense related, whether it's about, let's say, appointment setting, selling in the home, carrier questions, that kind of thing. And I'm more than happy to address any questions or concerns that you may have. And this particular video is always available on YouTube afterwards, and as well as on Facebook in case you want to rewatch it again. So I've got 4 questions here today. I really haven't even looked at them too in detail. So everything I'm going to say is kind of on the fly. And we'll just kind of go from there. So let me clear my Clinton cough here first. So the first question here is, what do you do when a customer calls to cancel? I think this was given by Sam. Pretty good question. So in fact, I had an agent this morning call me up. He wrote a deal with a company yesterday, replaced the company named after an American president, and they actually called back and said, hey, we've heard some bad stuff about XYZ company. We don't want to do it. So my advice to him, and it's kind of specific on the particular situation. The first thing you got to think of is, why do people call to cancel to begin with? So the first thing you got to look at is your presentation. Did you do everything possible to present yourself in the most positive light? Did you present your license? Did you do a good job of pre-qualifying them? Did you get a good budget that fits their budget? Did you do everything possible to endear trust, goodwill, and rapport with them? And you got to take a sober look at that, because many times people will be off-put to some extent, and they'll go through it, and then they have tremendous buyer's remorse. The other thing you want to do as well, and this is more important with replacement scenarios than anything, and what I will assume here is that when you're doing a replacement, that you actually have the deal closed on the phone through a point-of-sale carrier. The strategy I always tell my agents to employ, whenever they're replacing an existing company, you always want to call the other company and cancel that existing coverage. I would never do this if I do a non-point-of-sale carrier where we write the app in to send it in, where the presumption is it'll be approved because we don't know for sure. But if we do a point-of-sale interview, we know it's approved. With most companies, they honor their decision. And so you use that leverage to then cancel the particular plan that you're replacing. Because as I always say, if you leave the home without doing that, you're inviting buyer's remorse to set in. People get cold feet when they've got to call the company up and cancel the deal and think about getting yelled at. And, I've had this forever and waste on. So they get this, buyer's remorse really deeply inset if you don't take care of it up front. So make sure you're doing that. If I'm writing a non-point of sale carrier replacing, I don't do it, and I don't ask them to cancel till we get the affirmation that it is approved. But in all other accords, if you do a point of sale interview, always get the deal canceled with the other company. If you can't call them, write up a form that says, please cancel my plan, that you fax in, have them sign it, just to get some kind of commitment from them that they're going to go through with it. Very important. It's a thing that I will not listen to myself as a producer, but and I've lost deals because of it. So I know very well that if you just do what I tell you, you'll get better results. So do that. If they call to cancel anyway, the best thing you can do, I think, is to show up randomly. A lot of times when you call them back, their mind's made up. They're hard to deal with and rationalize over the phone. But if you show up and you're in between appointments in the same area, say, hey, I got your message, what's going on? You can do a lot better job negotiating at the door. And it's worth the extra 10 to 15 minutes to resell the policy and get their commitment, because that's had money that you worked hard already to get. which can be lost instantly if you don't take the time to go get it back. So it's not a waste of time. It's just the extra time. You should look at it this way. It's extra time you should have done, or maybe should have done when you were there to begin with. Hopefully that makes sense. So show up. That's probably the best way to handle it, and try to talk them off the cliff, so to say. All right, how do you prepare mentally with trying to save a policy that cancels or lapses or anything like that? So the first thing to realize in this business is that it's going to happen, and then B, you have to accept that it's going to happen. We sell people on a low income. They live month to month. There's no guarantees that they're actually going to, never have any money problems. In fact, many of the people are where they are because of a lifetime of money problems. And so we're all going to lose business. Good business, bad business, even if you write the best plan. Some people just screw up their money and they can't pay a premium, or they forget it's there and it lapses. So mentally, you just have to live with it. It's a cost of doing business. It's a part of this business. And it's not personal. These people, many of them have issues that were there before we showed up. So the sooner you accept that these issues are going to manifest themselves in a small portion of the population, the better. Now, with that said, how do you handle when somebody does lapse, let's say, for example? Call them up. Half of all lapses are mistakes. I found that out the hard way early on in my career when I ignored them and then called back on them. And it was amazing how many of them actually wanted their insurance and didn't even realize that it lapsed. Ignorance, I guess. But anyways, if you just call your lapses, about half of them will re-up. Maybe you have to rewrite them with another carrier if they can't pay two payments. But you catch it up the following month, and you can save a lot of cases that fall off the books. It's about an 80 to 85% persistency ratio. It should be for people who follow up on their book of business and do a good job of following up on it. The other part of this question, do you try to rebuttal and save the policy? Yeah, absolutely. You certainly want to do that. Don't let a lapse or a cancellation go. Always try to save it, because sometimes agents that are replacing us lie. They say crazy stuff like, I've never heard of XYZ company. I had one guy in Georgia. God, this guy's been around for 5.5 years. I remember he replaced a Forester's policy. It was the first one I got replaced. That was an $80 a month deal. It's like July 2011. And the guy's name's Rob. And I got a cancellation notice. And I was like, what? The guy was sold. We were friends, shaking hands. And he called to cancel. So I rolled down there and I talked to the guy and I said, dude, why are you canceling your Forester's deal here? It's fine. And I said, who are you going with? He said, I'm going with Colombian Life. I said, Colombian, man, they're more expensive. What are you thinking? He says, well, Mr. Rob said that Forester's isn't a real insurance company. And they're out of Canada, those international insurance companies across the nation. And I don't want insurance with not a real insurance company. These people, they'll believe anything. And so I lost the deal. I couldn't back him off the cliff, and he was paying more money for it at the time. Forester's was extremely competitive, especially compared to Colombian at the time. But these agents will lie, and they'll say things and slander falsely to make a sale, especially people like him who have only one company and do whatever it takes to sell the person on the deal. And this happens a lot more than you think it does. And you would never know that you have been slandered against unless you didn't call or show up. It's funny because the same guy about 6 months ago did the same deal. I replaced his overpriced policy. He showed up at the client's door, harassed her and her son to death, and said the reason she should keep her coverage with XYZ company is because they're local in Georgia. And that company is all the way out in Utah. It's not even in the same state. Like, it's across the ocean. It's like, come on, it's stupid reasons. But these people, she canceled her policy. She felt threatened, is what she said to me at least. She's fine now, we got her back. But that's what these guys will do at any cost to try to save business, is especially the one-trick pony guys. So call your lapses. The agents are always out there. There's so many of them, more than you think. They're coming behind us all the time. And there are very aggressive ones that will stop at nothing to replace. And there was one last one I heard of, this woman out of Indiana, from a guy that I know in Indianapolis. She was the worst about it. Top producer, went on conventions until finally the DOI stopped her and she got terminated and lost her license. So there's people out there like that, and you got to be proactive about it. last question here before I transition is what philosophy do you have to roll with the punches? I think that's a really excellent question. My philosophy in Final Expense is that you're going to get punches, you're going to take punches, and it's all part of the business as it stands. There's no way around the ups and the downs that come along with this business. There's no one that's immune from, hey, how you doing, Caesar? There's no one that's immune from the frustrations of dealing with not writing business, buying a bunch of leads, business not sticking on the books. It's something that we all go through, and if you don't go through it, you're the exception to the rule. And the good news is that if you can just stick in this business in some capacity and work your butt off, give it 5 years. There was one, I forget who it was, but this well-renowned life insurance agent said, your first 4 years in the life insurance business is like going to school, and then after that, your income starts to take off. And for me personally, it's been very true. I've actually quit the business one time about my first year through, because I got off from the fundamentals, as some of you may have seen or read in my other articles, books, or videos. But the key is to fight and survive. And what tends to happen is you develop an instinct, you develop your presentation and approach better, you begin to have seen everything, and it becomes predictable. It was about 3 or 4 years into the business to where my wife didn't know if I had a great day or a horrible day. And that's the only reason I was able to say that, is because I've seen it all, and I know the next day can be fantastic if today was bad. Vice versa, too. And so all I can say is, if you want to develop the mental dexterity and the capability to run with the punches and fight to survive in this business, you've got to make sure that you're doing whatever it is possible to see the people and to survive. And many agents, after their 5th year, or even 3rd, 4th, 5th year, somewhere in there, things just get easier. You got back-end commissions coming in, as they're in renewals coming in, you get referrals automatically without having to call on them. It's nice. And it just gets better if you keep that level of production up. Whoops. And just the wife calling. We'll call her back later. So you just got to stay with it. And you got to trust and have faith in the process that things will improve. Even despite the urge that you may want to quit, I promise you, from personal experience, if you just get through it, it becomes a little bit easier, much more predictable, and enjoyable. And especially where I'm at in my business, where I work with agents who I love taking from zero to hero, doing very well, succeeding, reaching goals they never thought imaginable. It's a real fun process, as well as having a relationship with agents and getting to know them and helping them accomplish their goals. It's a real fun part of being in the recruitment side of this. So anyways, thank you so much for visiting and watching today's video. If you have any questions you'd like to ask and have me address in a video next week, feel free to leave them down here at the bottom of the comment box, and I'll be happy to specifically design a video around them. I'm good at talking for long lengths of time and droning on, as you can tell, so feel free to ask away, and I'll have plenty of stuff to talk about, I'm sure. Have a happy Friday. This is David Duford at FinalExpenseAgentMentor.com. Mentor, FEAgentMentor.com's website. One thing I will ask you to do, if you haven't already, I do have a weekly No BS Final Expense newsletter. If you haven't joined, for joining, I give away free final expense training, including a sales audio, a sales prospecting audio, as well as a door knocking and appointment setting script. You can go to my website. I've got pop-ups and stuff at the top of the headline and on the right sidebar. Just put your information in and you'll join right away. And get weekly emails every Wednesday for videos and articles that I write and that kind of thing. So thank you very much for watching. And we will see you next week at Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Take care.